Good morning. It is almost 10:30 on a Saturday. I woke up. Usually when I wake up, I will start doing my hair and put on some tinted moisturizer, sunscreen, because I'm older now, and blush, mascara. I use a bronzer. I tried to do like a 60s thing today just because I had to pin down my bangs because of my hairstyle yesterday. It was like but it really like creased my hair, and I have a battery operated curling iron. I try really hard to look, maybe not really hard, but like, I won't get out of the car until I look normal, what I call normal and presentable, blendable, like I blend in to society. I'm trying really hard to maintain normalcy, so that way when I do have a place to live again, it'll be like an easy transition, and also so I don't hamper any opportunities that I may come across. What else? About to have breakfast. So I showed yesterday how I do this rice. There's still a little bit of water, but it's okay. And have an apple and some sriracha I'm gonna put in it, and maybe some cashews. I'll crush up some cashews, and then I've been using this as a cup because my cups are dirty. So that's just water with like these Skittle packet flavors, which they taste like, when you suck the candy off of Nerds and then you chew the white. That's my favorite. That's what it tastes like, so that's really good. I wanted to kind of talk about, I guess, how I got in this situation. So, I'm just gonna like make it short. From the beginning. Well, I guess, okay, let's go back to the beginning. So I come from a very narcissistic family, and I was raised by my great-grandparents, for the most part. I did go live with my mom. Well, so I lived with my mom, technically lived with my mom till I was 7, but, something happened with my aunt, and there was a misunderstanding, and I got sent away. Which is fine, because I was always at my great-grandparents' house anyway. Literally every weekend, they'd come get me on a Friday from school, bring me back late Sunday night. They lived an hour away, hour and a half. I was there every holiday, every single break from school. And before school, I was always there. So I don't even know if my mother had me, like, at all. I'm sure she did, because I did see some pictures. She lived with my grandma for like a little bit. But anyway, there's the lore. It's like a novella. My life is a novella. I hear that all the time. So because of that, or I don't know, as a result of that, my mother would always tell me that I needed to move out after graduation. And I was 17 at graduation. So I was always really terrified. And also when she came to get me, when I left and when she came to get me as a child, she just took me with the clothes on my back. So I didn't even know what moving was. So after graduation, I got a job like a month or two later. My great grandmother got me a car, about a month after graduation, which the whole family freaking hated, but whatever, it's not their money. So, I had no options. So, yeah, so that helped me. And then I got a second job because the car was very expensive. With the insurance cost more than the car payment. It was crazy. But you're okay. I'm gonna blow some minds right now. Okay, it was $2,000, and I had a 1999 Ford Mustang silver. I had some custom things on it. Nothing like crazy, just like they took the almost standard and then like kind of made it custom for me. It had exhaust, so it was really fun to drive. My son's father put intake on it, which was fun, but when I'd have to get it smogged and stuff, we'd have to take it off. So that was kind of annoying. And I got really good grades in school. Like, not straight A's, but like almost straight A's. And I was involved in so many activities, just trying to get out of the house, away from my family. I was really determined to go to college. My mother wouldn't sign for me. She refused to do literally anything. Her rule for me, which was different than my sister's, but her rule for me was, as long as she doesn't have to take me or give me money, I could do whatever I wanted. I mean, obviously that's not true, because if I got in trouble to where society would think, oh my God, I would get grounded. And I'd get grounded for a month, and she would hold me to that. But my sisters, no, never, nothing like that. Although she did hit my sisters, and she didn't hit me. But then again, I was taller than her. She was 5'1", and I'm 5'6". I've been the same height since I was 14. So I'm 5'6". Okay, so I couldn't go to college because you can't sign for yourself till you're 25 or you are pregnant, you have a child. So I couldn't go to college. I moved out with some friends for a month in January, because I had gotten in a car accident and I had to quit one of my jobs. I kept the other one for another month, but it was really hard. And I ended up going back to that job once or twice. I really loved that job. It was a hotel receptionist. The other one was a waitress at Casa di Fruta. It's like not a landmark, but it's like a thing people know about around here. So, but it's very far from where I was living, like 45 minutes or more, up like a mountain. So there was no way I was getting to work. What else? Okay, so I moved. That didn't work out. That was like really, really, really bad. Like very dangerous for me. So, I went to live with my grandmother, my great grandmother, who wanted me to go live with her this whole time, since I was 18. So, I mean, since I graduated high school, she wanted me to like immediately go, and I wish I had. So, I go to my grandma's, I get a job, which another job I love, hotel front desk. I just really love that kind of a job, but, was happy, but I had no direction, and she would tell me to go to school. Obviously, I knew I couldn't because my mother, but now that I'm older, I wonder if my grandmother could have signed for me, but, because my mother would have never known. Okay, anyway, I just really thought about that, like, all these years later. So I just worked, sometimes 2 jobs. It was always waitressing and, hotel. At one point, I mean, I had like a different job at this time, but I met my son's father. I didn't like him, but, that was a very abusive relationship. I had my son, I got pregnant a year in, had my son, we broke up. We were off and on a lot because he was a cheater and he was abusive, like physically, verbally, sexually, like the things I went through. I don't even remember most of it. I kept a journal for my son when I was pregnant, and I read it, and I used to read it and be sad, and it was like very painful to read, so I couldn't finish it. Many times I tried, but now I don't know. I don't know if it's the PTSD from life, but I don't remember a lot of abuse that I've been through anymore. I just kind of, and also like so in my memories, I feel like I can like instantly go there, but like with the abuse, I can't. It's just like facts. Like I can't, or like maybe I see the scene, but it's like I'm not there. So anyway, he was in jail when I had my son. When I got pregnant, my family like disowned me. I told my mom, she immediately scheduled an abortion without even asking me. They did eventually come around, like, as the pregnancy progressed. But I still didn't have the support that I felt I needed, especially being only 21, and, like, not just 21, but, like, a very, very naive 21. I felt like I couldn't do anything without my son's father. He was like my guide into adult world or something. So when we broke up, it was very hard for me. I had to grow up very quickly. I mean, I was already taking care of my son alone, but like just in life. And I was living with my great grandmother again. That was always off and on. So she had a stroke December 2006. She went into the hospital. I had to find her. That's a whole nother story. My family turned on me because of money, so I'll go into that. I'll go into that in another story, if I remember. It divided my family, but really it didn't. Everybody just hated me and told lies and spread shit, and it was just really crazy. So, I did not get the house like my great-grandparents had always told everybody, including me. I even saw the trust. But they came in, they took the trust. Her lawyer's office was closed, and then the new lawyer didn't have any record. Right before she passed, we had a notary come over, and she reviewed her trust. And I can't remember why we didn't sign at that moment. I think we still had something else to do to it. So I was supposed to call her, and my grandmother was like, I feel like I'm getting close. We need to call the lady. And she was showing me where all the papers were that I would need, and I was like, God, when I think how naive I was, it makes me sad. It makes me sad I couldn't do things my grandmother wanted me to. I just was so stupid. Like, I just remember being like a child. Anyway. So I didn't. There's still a lot there. She was like my mother. Really, when my grandmother died, that was like the last person who loved me. Who like really, really cared. Oh my God. So I moved out into an apartment that I couldn't afford. Because her son was harassing me and like breaking into the house and stuff. I had a car. They were mad about that too. I had gotten a second car because in the Mustang, my son was very big. He was 95th percentile in like everything, height and weight, and I would hit his head every time I took him out of the back seat. So I knew it was time for a new car. Because I can't keep putting this kid in a Mustang, in the back of a Mustang. It's so small. So, the boyfriend I had at the time went with me. We picked out a car. It was a Honda Pilot, 2003 Honda Pilot. And my grandmother co-signed for that, for me. I don't remember what year that was, 2004, 2005. So anyway, when she went to the hospital, like shortly after I got that apartment, I couldn't afford the car anymore. I mean, really, between the two cars, I was paying $800 a month. And then on top of that, my rent was $625? I'm not sure. I mean, how crazy is that? A nice new 2-bedroom, utilities included. It had laundry facilities that were really nice. I don't remember if it had a pool. I never used it if it did. And I'm pretty sure it was either $625 or like $525, $575. It was something very low. So, I mean, that was 2006. So that's not even 20 years ago. It's crazy, right? And like now it would be like $2,400. 2000 at least. So, well, maybe. Yeah, because I paid $14, no utilities, for a 1-bedroom in 2020. So I think when I left that place, it was $1,600 for that little cockroach-infested 1-bedroom. Okay, so anyway, so I get the apartment. I go to massage. I had a little bit of money from a life insurance policy my grandma had. It's not a life insurance policy. It's living trust or something like that. So I got $19,000 from that. I furnished the apartment because we had nothing. We had a settee that I got from Rent-A-Center. So I paid that off, got a couch, entertainment center, had a TV already. I Actually, I already had the table, I had the baby's bed, and I had my mattresses and my nightstand. So, I mean, it wasn't that bad. But I got like a shower curtain and whatever, and like a storage thing for the bathroom. Anyway, so I also bought a laptop, and I paid for massage school, which I completed. At the same time, I was going to massage school. I was working full time, taking care of my son alone. I had no support from his father, and like no child support either. And I also enrolled in like regular college and community college. So I was doing all of that at the same time. My job was extremely toxic. I mean, very illegal. Like, they would make me stay late to finish the day's work. I had a very special job that like only I or the president of the company could do. And like, I was an extremely fast typist, so these things usually fell to me. So I remember going to get my son. I mean, this is like more than one occasion. This is like at least 5 occasions. Going to pick up my son from daycare at 5, coming back and staying till 9 or later, just working unpaid, because we were paid hourly on our, according to our check stubs, but according to the business, they said that we only get paid. I got paid once a month. I got $1,600 a month, and it was a salary. So no matter how much I worked, I didn't get paid. It was very illegal. They ended up shutting down like a year, not even a year. I don't know how long. Something like a year after I left. Anyway, so I quit there because of I just got sick of the toxicity. I had a little bit of money to live off of, but it really only lasted me 2 months. Man, I don't want this to be... Okay, I'm going to stop at 20 minutes. So I gave up the apartment. I went to live with my mother. She did not want me there. Oh my god, there's so much here. Okay, anyway, I went to go live. I got a job at my old job, which is like a mission, a hotel, but a mission. It looks like a mission. And they had employee studios, so I went to live there like 6 months, 7 months, I think 7 months after I got to my mother's. From there was a lot of issues, of course. I have terrible luck, let me just say that, like the worst. So where did I go from there? I went to, my son got extremely sick, and he was in the children's hospital for 15 days. It was terrifying. He almost died. He was only 3, yeah. 3, 4. I think he had his 4th or 5th birthday in the hospital. I can't remember. It was like a blur. I went to go stay with one of my best friends in her house that she was renting from her aunt. I was renting a room there. It was very expensive, like $600. It was like as much as my other apartment. Then I got a job. Where did I work when I lived there? I don't remember. Oh, I worked at subcontractor for PG&E, and there my boss there became my friend. So I ended up, she suddenly wanted to move, and because she moved, I had to move. Found a place, put the deposit, then they said I couldn't move in. They kept the deposit for a while, so I mean, I was like stalking these people because I had days to like find a place to go, and they had all my money. So finally they gave me the money, and I go rent a room from some dude. It's like, we called it, it was like a mansion. Like, this house was huge. That was a really bad situation, so I ended up going to live with my friend, my boss, excuse me. Well, she's my friend too. Like a month later, and her and her husband and her son in their new house. I was only there, I don't know how many months, a few months, 2-3 months maybe. She asked me to leave. Her son and, I mean, her husband and I were friends. We were the same age. She was 10 years older than us. So I think she did not like that. I think it made her uncomfortable. So I left, and I found another house from Craigslist. It was completely empty. besides my little twin bed, 2 twin beds. I had 2 twin beds because she gave us the beds. Then that house turned out to actually not be the person who rented it to us. It was a foreclosure. So that was the whole thing. And then I ended up moving into a friend's mother's childhood home, back home where my mother lived. And I had brought my sister to the second McMansion, and that was just drama. So I found us a place back home. So that's how we ended up back there. And we got in a fight. She wasn't paying rent on time and stuff. And our rent was like $100 each. $200 each, I think. Maybe $200 each. Anyway. So from there, I had gotten a job like an hour and a half away back in the town where I lived with my great-grandmother. So I was commuting every day, like an hour and a half. I had no time with my son. So I found a little apartment there in a Victorian, a little 1-bedroom. We moved there. We lived there for a little while. I ended up staying in, we call it the murder house. My boss there was also my friend, but she had a house where her father was murdered. They had never found the killer or anything. She left all his stuff there. She wanted someone to watch it because it kept getting broken into. So I was dating someone at the time who had 2 girls, and he said he would help me fix up the house because it was like in a very bad condition. So, but it was free rent for a little while. So I moved in there. We broke up or whatever, and I got stuck there for a little while. I ended up losing my car, which lost me my job. And then I moved to out of state with my older sisters. I have 4 sisters, my 2 older sisters. I lived with one of them, her husband and her daughter, my niece. We stayed in the room where my father was living in, and my father had passed away like the previous year, not even a year earlier. That's a whole nother thing. So from there, I stayed there a month, got my own apartment in that town, but was completely isolated, completely abandoned. So from there, I moved out of state, across the United States, like literally from coast to coast, to Pennsylvania with my best friend at the time. She was my best friend for a long time, just till recently, from the old hotel, like the very second hotel, I guess. So that went all bad. More story times. And I came back home to the town I graduated high school in to be with this guy. We were supposed to get married, have kids. I mean, he was chasing me forever. Years and years and years. Since I was like 14. So he abandoned me 3 days before my flight. So I had to go live with my mother. I wasn't speaking to my mom or my sister, the one below me at the time. So I had to go live with my mother and her now husband and that sister that hated me. More story times. So from there, I was there for quite a few years. 4 years, 3 years, something like that. I got a townhouse in the town. Lost that because I lost my job and I was barely scraping by. I was doing contract work at the time. From there I rented a house, again putting the deposit down, and supposedly the house flooded, so on move-in day we couldn't move in. So she had to give me my money back. I had to stay with my mom again for a couple months until I found another place, which was a whole nother story. So anyway, I got an apartment in like the nearest larger city to us, like medium-sized city, because where I grew up or where I graduated is like a very small country town. So I got an apartment over there, which was good because I was in school. Again, I was in community college, and it was to the point where I couldn't do my classes anymore at the extended campus in my little town. So it was good because I was like up the road from my school. So I got to finish my degree there. Although I do have one more class to do, and then I can get my second degree and then transfer to university to work on my bachelor's. But can't do that right now. So from there, I got into another abusive relationship. and we ended up moving to the town I'm in now, excuse me, to be closer to my work, because I was commuting again, hour and a half every day. I'm always commuting. So we lived here. COVID hit 2 months after I got that apartment, after them begging me to move there for years. 2 months after that, they laid me off for COVID. But really, it wasn't COVID, but whatever. So, and that leads us to how I got here. So, in order to leave that very violent situation, he was like abuse in all ways, to the point where he also would threaten to kill my entire family. So in order to leave that guy, he would not leave our home, because his name was on it, but it was all my stuff. He had nothing. I knew that I was going to have to be homeless, because I could not stay with anybody. Nobody would let me stay with them, my son and I. So I knew that I was going to have to live in the car. I had no money, no savings, no nothing. And I let the apartment go. He went to jail again, so that's how we all got out of there. My son decided to work with some kind of an advocate, and they got him into like a youth shelter, which he has an apartment now through all those programs. So he's had it for like a year or two. And then me, I went to the car, went to stay with a friend for a few months. And I mean, I was like absolutely, completely traumatized from that situation. I was not functional like the first 2 months, maybe 3, like literally not functional. Like I would just lay in bed. I'd get out to pee or eat, and that's it. And like barely, like I couldn't move. She asked me to leave because her father was wanting his office back, because I was staying in the office, and he was threatening to set the room on fire. I didn't know any of this was happening until she told me. She asked me to leave. So I didn't know any. I knew something felt really weird there, and I would talk to her about it, and she would act like everything's fine. And we haven't really spoken. We haven't verbally spoken since I left 2 years ago. 3 years ago now. 3 years ago? 2 years ago. Anyway, so from there, I was homeless again. Was it homeless again? I assume so. Yeah, I must have been homeless again, because oh, no. I went to go stay with another crazy abusive guy, but that was very off and on. I mean, like, I would stay there for like 2 weeks, and then he'd make me leave for a couple days, and then he'd beg me back, and he was cheating, and he was psycho abusive. Like, probably, as far as verbally and intimidation go, he was the absolute worst. He didn't hit me, but he, like, punched, like, the pillow next to me. He would get really mad because I wouldn't talk, or I didn't want to be with him, even though he would say he didn't want to be with me because he was cheating on me with this other girl. Or, I guess, really, probably, I mean, they weren't together, but she had no idea about us. Anyway, so, another story. So, I left there, finally, after 4 months, I believe, and then I went to stay in my car regularly, middle of July 10th, exactly, actually, and then, but my car was breaking down, and I had no help, and again, remember, I have no money, I have no income, so, from his house, the car, and then my car broke down. I was stuck in the country for like 3 days, and I was devastated and hopeless, and didn't have my medication. Another story, people kept taking my medication. I was on I am on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication, but I was on more than, and it was helping me be functional, but I was still like really messed up. So that's when I had the unaliving event, and my best friend called an ambulance for me because she realized something was wrong, and I lived. That's a whole nother story. I was very, like, nobody wanted me, nobody my family admitted they didn't answer the phone because they didn't want me to come stay with them. So yeah, I went to live with my mother where I was like, oh my god, it was like abuse, the same abuse as when I was a kid, but like worse. I was sleeping on the floor in the corner of a room, and I wasn't even allowed to go outside. I couldn't like do anything. I had a job for like a month, but I hurt my foot really bad, and she wouldn't let me go to the doctor, and I couldn't walk on it, so I had to quit that job. What else? After my mother's, I went to stay with my sister, and like the sister below me, and for context, like we've always kind of had a love-hate relationship. I adored her. She hated me. That's pretty much how that went our whole lives. So, after like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, she asked me to leave. She had just had a baby, and I really didn't think about that till the other day. So she was probably like feeling hormones and stuff. And then she apologized a couple weeks later. Her husband was mad at her for doing that, and because it was like hundreds, it was like heat wave, like 105 up to 110 here. So she said I could like come shower and stuff like every few days or whatever, and stay like during the day when I did that or something. Is that what it was? Yeah, something like that. Anyway, something like that. I didn't want to do it, obviously. Didn't want to be around her. So I've been in this van ever since. And now this van is very broke down, and I am stuck here eating rice. Cold, almost a little bit hard rice, and an apples, and water. I have 2 more gallons. Hopefully I don't go through that. 2.5 gallons. Hopefully I don't go through that very fast. My son's supposed to come later today if he wakes up in time. He really lags on stuff. To try to put that alternator in again. He said he'll get the right tool. That's it. Let's hang it up here.